how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at more Tales to Give You Goosebumps. This is the second Goosebumps Special Edition, and yeah, they could have just called it Tales to Give You Goosebumps Special Edition number 2, but they decided to add that more onto the cover, and now we're going to be getting progressively more and more ridiculous titles as the series goes on. I do want to say I do have a later edition cover, and they decided to put Curly in the corner, apparently reading you all these stories. If I see it, I'll get the original cover, which is the same image, but with that classic Goosebumps splash and not these weird little middle frame things. But anyway, this originally came out in July of 1995. And note, July, a nice fun summer month. Most of the stories in here have something to do with summer, so there is a unifying theme. Vacations, the beaches, the heat, and of course, some summer camp stories. I do like having a unifying theme. That is pretty cool. And from what I gather, there is a Halloween book and a Christmas book later on, so looks like we're going to be getting some themed books. But as I said with Special Edition Volume 1, the stories in here are about on that same par, where they really are good and you see the Goosebumps creativity and insanity coming through, and a lot of these stories are good enough ideas that if Stine wanted to, he could have quite easily wrote a whole book about them. But it's like reading 10 Goosebumps books really fast. Despite the fact that these stories are only 10 or 15 or something like that pages long, they're still getting a really good creative idea out there. All the stories have these big fun tones behind them, and they're short stories. And I don't know if you know this rule, but the less time invested in the story, the less angry people will get if something crazy happens, and in turn, there's some dark endings in here, because hey, why not? So yeah, that anthology horror, anything can happen, and you know what? Some people are gonna get absolutely screwed over. That's cool. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the stories. I'm not gonna do any major spoilers, but I do want to do a little mini review for each story and let you guys know what's in the book and what I thought of each one. So, 10 quick mini reviews. Let's start off with Werewolf's First Night. We get the first story in here. A kid is going to Thunder Lake, where his family goes on vacation every single year, and the kids kind of get like this almost like daycare thing where the camp will take care of the kids while the mom and dad do whatever, and he is just turned old enough to be with the teenagers, and he's not getting along with the other teenage kids. He has one friend, but he's on the younger end, and he's getting bullied by some of the other kids. That would be bad enough, but the bullies start to act strange. He starts to think they have teeth. He starts to suspect that the bullies are werewolves, and there's a full moon coming up right when the kids are scheduled to go camping in the middle of the forest. A good countdown element here, a good idea of crossing bullies over with werewolves, and if you like that classic tropey anthology horror, that is in this story. After that, P.S. Don't write back. So this second story, you get a kid at summer camp waiting for letters from his parents, but none are coming. Eventually, one does, and it's short and curt and uncaring. Yeah, my parents didn't write, and then they did, and they're not being loving or affectionate, and they're saying things like they're not coming over for visitor day, and it is kind of, that Goosebumps cruel humor, some of these letters and just how cruel the parents can be. Yeah, that is there. But eventually he begins to suspect, wait a minute, there's a camp at the other side of the lake. I think there's a kid over there that shares my name, and these letters are supposed to be for him, and maybe he has my letters. And so we go to the camp on the other side of the lake, and boy, is this camp gonna be creepy. It's a pretty fun story with a few little dark twists and stuff at the end. It's definitely a highlight from the book. After that is Something Fishy, and this is more of a kid's adventure story. It's definitely more on kind of that sci-fi amazing. It's a shrinking story. You get this kid, it's summer, there's no air conditioning in his apartment, and he's really hot, and he sees his fish swimming around, wishes he could swim with them, puts his hand in the fish tank, and shrinks down to a little size of the fish, you know? So he's swimming in there with his fish, he can breathe underwater, it's amazing. But you know, his fish don't actually like him. It's kind of a fun, it's more on the goofier side. And if you like that sort of thing, goofier, shrinking, sci-fi stuff, not heavy sci-fi, but it is a shrinking story. It's kind of fun, not the scariest thing ever, but you know, if that's the story you're looking for. After that, You Gotta Believe Me. In this, a kid is not allowed to watch TV, and he looks out his window with like a telescope and finds aliens in a farmer neighbor of theirs' field. So he's the only one to know about the alien invasion. And you do get a fun little how do I stop the alien story. And again, kind of more kids' adventure story. It's not the scariest thing ever, and what the aliens are doing and how it ties into the main plot is kind of cheesy, and you do get a bunch of exposition from these aliens. It's not the most memorable thing in the book, but if you're looking for more fun adventure, you might like this. Just not really exactly my thing. And then after that, you get Suckers. And I know Suckers, some people consider it the worst story. It's fine though. It's just, if you know in anthology horror, it's kind of telegraphed. You can kind of tell where this one's going. But anyway, Suckers, they're these kids that are vacationing, and the local kids start bullying them. You're out-of-towners. We're the real beach people. They bully them. They run away. And when they run away, they find a chest washed up on the beach. They think it's going to be treasure. Nope. When they open it up, out pops a suction cup monster. And I do like that sort of crazy, energetic creep show notion. But that being said, once the monster starts to, attack them, and when they see what it wants, you can kind of tell where this one's going. But still, open the chest, out pops a monster. A bit of insanity. It's kind of fun, but yeah, one of the weaker stories in the book, and I think they did kind of put the weaker ones in the middle there. After that, though, a classic, Dr. Horror's House of Video. This kid is on vacation with his parents. It's like a rental house for like a month or something, and he's brought some videotapes. He's a big horror fan, which is great. He talks about how he wants to make movies with his friend, but he's seen all of his VHS tapes already, and he's starting to get bored of them, and he wants more videos. And that's when he finds out there's Dr. Horror's House of Video in town, and he goes in, and there's a bunch of obscure movies that he's never heard of before, and he starts to see just a couple minutes of one on the store's TV, and he's hooked, and his mother drags him away. Well, the next day, he's of course going to sneak back into the video store, finish watching that movie, and what's going on in the back? Dr. Horror is shooting a movie in the back room, and I can be part of it? Yeah, again, anthology horror tropey, sure, but it's one that's all about horror movies and the love of horror movies and being big, fun, and cheesy. You gotta love this one. After that, The Cat's Tale. And this one, you get a city girl going to the country for vacation. She doesn't like it there, but she finds a cat. That's cool. She has a friend. The cat starts to follow her everywhere, even when she's trying to leave the house and stuff. And then she starts noticing that she's taking on cat-like tendencies. Now she doesn't like the water and she has a strange craving for fish. Maybe her and the cat are somehow entangled. And it is kind of a fun, cheesy little story. Again, I put this on the not the best thing ever list, but it still is a fun enough for a B-side. After that is Shell Shocker, a very classic warning tale, a very old school fairy tale of be careful, kids. But this girl and her brother both collect shells. They're both really into shell collecting, and she gets this little shell that can talk to her, and she's like, this is cool, but the shell says, no, let me go. If you let me go, I'll tell you where there's a secret shell, the biggest shell you've ever seen. And we as an audience are like, don't fall for it, don't go over there. But of course, something crazy is gonna happen, and you gotta know what's gonna happen when she gets to the big shell, right? It's cool. Again, not the best one in the book, but it is fun. After that, Poison Ivy, and if you like big, cool creature feature horror, this is a good one for you. Basically, you get this guy, he's in a cabin at summer camp. He has a preppy guy in the cabin with him as well that is using way too much aftershave even though he's too young to shave, which I feel is a precursor to those Axe deodorant guys you'd get later on. But he's there, he's making friends, and there's a patch of poison ivy. But it seems to be rustling, it seems to be too big, and the leaves of 3 that poison ivy's famous for kind of looks like a head and 2 arms. They go out the next day and it's overgrown, and the dumb kids are playing in it because, oh, this can't be poison ivy, it grew too fast, right? Everybody's itchy but them, because their cabin's the only crew smart enough to not play in the poison ivy. And of course, Little Shop of Horrors, plant-style horror, the poison ivy is gonna go nuts, and they're the only group that can save the camp. It's a fun, over-the-top creature feature story, and I think this probably is one of the better ones in here. After that, the final story, at the end already, and that is The Spirit of the Harvest Moon. In this, the girl's parents want to go on a vacation to some obscure, out-of-the-way spot, and they find this little cabin, little hotel thing in the middle of nowhere, and they're the only ones there besides the owners. The owner says, lock your doors at night, lock your windows at night, and the girl starts to hear someone calling from outside. Jenny, it's cold out here. Who is that? Who's out there? Good creepy setup. But she starts to hear this legend of a wandering spirit looking to possess someone each year, and it looks like it's going to be targeting her. It's a really creepy story, but if you like this wandering spirit motif, also in 1995, R.L. Stine's Ghost of Fear Street #1, Hide and Shriek, is another story about a wandering spirit trying to possess someone every year. If you like this last one, check it out. It's a school, it's on Fear Street, so it's not a cabin secluded in the middle of nowhere. But it is funny that Stine had 2 projects he was involved with that had kind of a similar concept in the same year. Thought I'd give that one a shout out, because Ghost of Fear Street, if you like Goosebumps, read that as well. It's pretty fun. Anyway, so we had 10 stories here. Some of the stories were just okay, and it seems to be those were the ones in the middle, but we did have some standouts. Obviously, Dr. Horror's House of Video, Spirit of the Harvest Moon, Poison Ivy. There's a lot of good ones. Yeah, P.S. don't write back with the sarcastic parents. There's a lot of good ones in here, a lot of stuff I like. I like that summer vibe to this book. Overall, Easy to recommend this one, and I hope I get my hands on more of the Tales to Give You Goosebumps series soon, because R.L. Stine works really well in short stories. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Goosebumps playlist. You can see me talk about some of the classic books, like Night of the Living Dummy, or Don't Go in the Basement, but you can also see me talk about Special Edition 1 in there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.